At least 6 teams, according to Schefter, have inquired with the Arizona Cardinals about moving up to number 3. Now, my assumption would be those are teams that are interested in taking a quarterback there at 3.
What teams you think? What
okay.
teams?
Well, I would say the
Indy.
Raiders.
Well, hold on. Let's just go by the closest in proximity to them, right? Well, would you think the Colts?
Yes, the Colts at 4. Maybe moving up a spot.
Seattle maybe at 5.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say Detroit at 6.
No, I don't think Detroit.
I don't know.
I
mean,
like
you're going to have a hard
Detroit.
time getting to 6 then because we've got 2 right now. So let's say no on Detroit. Let's keep counting. Las Vegas at 7.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Atlanta at 8.
Atlanta at 8. Not Chicago at 9. Not Philly at 10.
True.
Tennessee at 11.
100% Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 5. Who's the other team?
Man.
The Texans at 12.
The Texans are drafting
at
at
12.
2.
They're at 2.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
So
Wouldn't
you
make any
can't
sense.
include the Texans
Why can't you?
because they're already there.
They're already going to take one.
Okay,
So let's assume, though, that, the idea that they're not going to take a quarterback at 2 and then try to find their guy at 12 is a huge risk. And to me, not really worth it if I'm the Texans. Like, I think that's where the writing's already on the wall for Nick Caserio.
So
That's how I would view that.
New England at 14?
That's an interesting one.
I mean, we can go back to Detroit at 6 if you want, because it's not like Jared Goff has that much left on his current contract.
It's not like Jared Goff is that type of player where you're going to be like, we don't need to take a guy if there's a guy.
Oh, come on. You're going to
If you feel
shame
like
the
that-
name of Jared Goff after the
No,
season he had.
I'm not trying to shame him. I'm not. I promise. I just don't think. Why would you pass up on? I mean, think about it. Las Vegas got Garoppolo.
Yeah.
They're looking to get a quarterback.
and now-
like,
Hold on for a second. In regards to Goff, he has 2 years left on his deal. You know what his dead cap hit would be if they did draft a quarterback and just wanted to cut him and move on?
What's that?
$15
$1
million.
million. Oh, that's too high.
No, it's not. Because you could do a post-June 1 designation and cut that in half over the next 2 years.
Oh, well, then if you could. Well.
And here's the other thing that people have to take into account. So Minnesota's another team that could potentially be looking to take a quarterback, but they're not trading from, 22, 23, wherever they're at, to 3. But that's a team that you have Cousins under his contract in his final year. Now, he's got voidable years after it, which all that really means is they spread out, obviously, a portion of the bonus for accounting purposes. But this is his last year in Minnesota. They didn't extend him. They can't cut him because the dead cap is so significant. But it's become really common now, and it goes back to Drew Brees towards the end of his career. Teams will put on voidable years, meaning years where they're spreading over the portion they paid out in a bonus, right? And so it hits future cap years for 2 or 3 years, maybe even after the guy's gone. But the guy's no longer on the roster. That's become a lot more common now than probably ever before, especially with quarterbacks. So it's not that uncommon to be paying for a guy who's not on your team, while you're moving on to another player at that position, especially a rookie that's a lot cheaper.
There's also the reality that the 6 teams that Schefter is reporting on that have inquired about trading up to number 3, that maybe it's not really 6. Maybe that's the Cardinals who are full of crap, and maybe it's more like 3 or 4. And they're trying to get other teams interested and somebody to pull the trigger at number 3 if they really want that quarterback.
But
there.
really, in reality, 1 is enough. I mean, let's just be
Well,
clear.
you need two.
But 1
Two to
is
create a
enough.
market.
You can
gonna
create
go
a
with
market,
3.
but
Because let me ask you this. If there was more than one team that was actively involved right now for Aaron Rodgers,
yes, you can run the value up 100%.
well, not the value. It just it speeds up everything. Like the deal's getting done. Otherwise, the other team's going to do it, right?
Yes,
You can always play
correct.
that.
But you could always play the idea of Aaron Rodgers' value being what it is, and it's solidified, and everybody plays by that rule. Like his value is his value. This is what we want. This is what we're going to give, and then it works out. I mean, people posture. You know what I mean? Like teams are going to posture. So even if there's 3 teams involved or 4 teams involved, there's still going to be posturing that takes place. I mean, that just is what it is. So, I mean, you just got to have, you just have to have one that is seriously interested. And that's what you got to really play on, who you feel may be, and especially if you do have the one, then you focus in on how do you get that done. If there's more than one, then you sit there and I guess you can allow for it to play out and say, well, they're offering this. What are you going to offer? Well, they're offering this. I mean, I don't know how all of that works in terms of negotiations with the draft trades. I mean, how outrageous can you get? I mean, I know the whole Ricky Williams or the Herschel Walker deal, but how ridiculous can you really get in terms of trading out of a high pick? Like, is that stuff kind of slotted too? Is there a value, like almost like a fixed market value, a number 2 overall pick? This is what you should expect. Like, how does that even work? Are you aware of that?
Like, is there a cap?
Yeah, I mean, you've got your if you're referring to like trading up in the draft, or what specific are you meaning?
Yeah. So say for instance, you're at the number 2 pick,
right?
Number 3 pick. You want to trade that pick away.
Yeah.
Like, is there a set value to what that pick has? Like, we get a number 1 pick in this year's draft. We get a number 1 pick in next year's draft. We get a number 2 overall. Like, is that slotted?
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. So there's essentially a chart that for every single pick in the draft, there's an assigned value. So for the first pick of the draft, the value is assigned at 3,000 points. For the very last pick, it's 2 points. And every team has their own draft value that they associate. This is based off Jimmy Johnson's that used to be what in the NFL industry everyone used, right? Because it made trading picks a lot faster. So you call up a team, they're using the same draft chart. You guys obviously are looking at the values for each pick is the same. It makes it a lot easier. And so if you're at the number 3 pick in this point, and it's 2,200 points, and you're the Minnesota Vikings who are selecting at 23, 22, something like that, Jonas?
Let me double check.
It's 780 points, 760 points. So if you're the Cardinals, you're like, all right, go ahead and give me that first round pick later in the draft. But now you've got to come up with another 1,400 approximate points at least to make up for the difference.
24 for the Vikings.
Yeah, 24. Okay, so 740. So, you've got to come up with 1,800 points, what was it? Like 1,400 points, yeah, approximately, of what you would need in order to make up for the difference in, going from 3 to 24 and what are the compensations there. So the interesting thing becomes when you mention future picks, teams look at future picks and they value them around less than what they are. So let's say, for example, LaVar, you're trading with me and you say, hey, I'll give you next year's second round pick. Well, we don't really know what exactly that's going to be. And so the safest way or the most conservative way to make an assumption on where that would be, right? Let's say in a perfect draft, because this year's not like this, you got 32 picks in the first round, 32 picks in the second round. So you would say conservatively, well, we're probably picking somewhere around 64, right? We can bet on that. But what teams really do is they say, we're going to view that as a third round pick. So that's how we value it. So any future pick, it's around less than what it's actually stated as, at least in the minds of the teams when they're trading picks right now.
God, it was so much simpler when the Saints just traded up all that draft capital to take Ricky Williams, and then he showed up on the cover of a magazine in a wedding dress. It was just so much simpler. It was so much simpler.
That's how I ended up in Washington.
What do you mean?
That was the draft right before me. Well, that trade was the reason why Washington got the 2 and 3 pick
really?
in the draft.
So yeah. Ricky Williams' wedding dress is the reason you're a commando?
Yeah.
Don't you think if you're a Ditka, you're like, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
Yeah. They should have known.